How you doing, folks? Chad here at the farm. Welcome back. Today I got something different planned, and we're gonna design the most perfect bunny barn, rabbit habitat, rabbit colony, whatever you're gonna call it. I'm gonna show you my thought process, and we're gonna talk about all of the things that I can come up with on what I need to include to make the perfect bunny barn. I like to build unique, cool, wicked awesome, one-of-a-kind structures. That's the duck house behind me, guys. And this is the Chateau du Poulet, octagonal chicken house that I built, state-of-the-art, one-of-a-kind, never before been seen by anyone. Now, each structure that I ever want to build, I do a lot of thinking and planning and double thinking to make sure I'm putting it in the right location in and around the farm. Sometimes I'm limited, like for example, the Chateau du Poulet, okay, I put it in this spot because there was an old chicken coop there and there's already electricity coming out of the ground. Rather than redoing an electrical line all the way back to the workshop, I just utilize the same place and it kind of fits nicely in all the trees there. You know, it's like I'm very happy with the location. I put water right beside it. Now there's a couple factors that I use to just decide where I'm gonna plan it out. One of them is electricity and one of them is gonna be water. I don't wanna have to lug water over half an acre to the animal. This location right here was my first initial thought to build this rabbitat right beside this pen and right beside the barn, and that's because right here there's a frost-free yard hydrant and it would be nice tucked in the trees, you know, like shaded and whatnot. Rabbits can get overheated very easily and they need to be able to cool themselves. But I settled on this location behind me for the rabbitat to be built because there was fewer trees to cut down, and I really hate cutting down trees, but I did have to cut down 2 small trees. I've kept the logs to reuse them. It's based on a few factors. One, the duck house is right here beside it, and I have electricity in the duck house, so it should be easy enough to dig a trench and run another electrical line. 2, there's the yard hydrant for water over there right beside the chicken house, so it's right there, and there's the yard hydrant that's up there beside the duck house. So water's not going to be an issue. And on the back side of this area is the veggie garden. So if I ever want to give any veggies to the rabbits, it's right there in close proximity. Now keep in mind, folks, I'm not a farmer by nature. I'm really learning as I go. Yes, I have some carpentry skills that I've acquired over my life. I've always only ever built, you know, like garden sheds or decks on the back of the houses that we've had, or some gazebos I've built. I built some raised gardens, things like this. This was basically the extent of my outdoor building. Formal training on building, I'm telling you very honestly that I learned how to do all of these things from HGTV, which is Home and Garden Television in Canada anyways. I don't know if they have that in the United States or anywhere else around the world, but there's a channel and they used to have a guy named Mike Holmes on there, and he would really show you a lot about how to build and how to follow the proper building codes, and I learned a lot from that. And then 2, books. I have a whole complete set of books on how to do certain things. And I always compare building to cooking. You know, my wife asks me sometimes, how do you know how to do all that stuff? I've been married to you for like 27 years. You never went to school. And I basically say, once you know how to measure, once you know how to cut, you know, once you know a little bit about angles and how to use the tools, the rest is creativity. It's just like following recipes, you know. Once you know how to fry stuff, once you know how to saute, once you know how to simmer, once you know how to slice and dice everything properly, once you know how to cook a steak properly, you know, like all these things, it makes you a good cook. But you still got to follow the recipe, which is the same as building things. And that's why I'm able to come up with these wicked awesome structures, because I'm not hiring a guy to build these things for me. If I did, it would cost me $20, $30, $50,000 to build these structures. And I'm just paying for materials and using my good old creativity. I've been watching a lot of YouTube about rabbit stuff, guys, because I don't know anything about rabbits. Yeah, we got rabbits, but I don't know anything about rabbits. But now I do. I've been studying a lot. So I know I got to think about shelter. I know I got to think about a run or a caged area, and I definitely know that we need electricity. Now we also need to make it predator proof because we don't want our bunnies to get taken away. We also don't want our bunnies to escape. So that's kind of a big deal because bunnies like to dig, right guys? We also need a way to separate the buck. You don't want to keep the girls and the boys together, otherwise you'll have bunnies all the time. We need a quarantine area, we need chew prevention, and I also think we need some kind of a false burrow to allow the rabbits to imitate digging. Now all this being said, of course, is easier said than done. I may not be able to incorporate all of these things, but I do want to say, if there's anybody watching this video who has any experience raising rabbits in a colony, and there's something on this list that maybe I didn't think about yet, please add it in the comments for me. Now, I want to keep this design as simple as possible, but still make them a wicked awesome, most perfect and ultimate bunny barn ever. So here's what I'm thinking I'm gonna do. Simple barn style. Maybe have a door right here. Maybe have a window right here. The roof is gonna be a lean-to style. You know, something like this. Give me some daylight with a window. I'll put a window on the other side so that I don't have to use electricity for lighting whenever I go in there. But then from this edge of the roof, this is gonna be approximately 8 feet tall, this side. This side will be a little bit less than 8 because I need the roof to be slanting, right? If I go over at the 7-foot mark, then I can do a run like so. Maybe on the other side of the run over here, maybe this will be like, I don't know, 5.5 feet. Basically, this entire run will be framed with pressure treated, and it'll be caged in, you know, like with a 1x1 fencing. I still have it. I don't even have to buy it. I don't know. This is what I'm thinking. I've already started building the structure. It's not a fancy design. It's very simple. It's not like my artwork can showcase it properly, but I'm just trying to give you an idea ahead of time on what I'm gonna build. I've never done that before. But this time, I wanted to give you a little bit of an insight as to how I come up with the design in the first place. Now these guys here are Californian rabbits. They're typically a meat rabbit, and to be perfectly frank with you guys, I don't know if we're ever gonna harvest a rabbit. I really want these rabbits for 2 things. One is an attraction for the farm stay guests. I'm sure the kids would love interacting with cute little bunnies. And 2, we need manure. We really need manure for the garden. And what better poop than rabbit poop? Now I already have a lot of this structure started for the bunny barn. What I did is I just pounded in some ground stakes and I used 2x6s for the floor. That's enough. It's enough to carry the load. And I used a very thick plywood. It's a 3/4 inch plywood. None of this is pressure treated. I just use a framing nailer to keep the process pretty simple and quick. And the walls are done with a very simple 16-inch on center. It's very common. And what I do, once they're up, I bolt them down with lag bolts straight down into the floor joist, so it's super strong. You guys want to watch? What are you watching? You okay there, boy? The big one right there is the female. The small one there is the male. Okay, we got the 4 walls up. This one side is 8 feet tall, and it's going to come down on a slant down to this level here. And this is, I'm 6'3", so this is about 6'8". That little spot there is where the door is going to be. That little spot is where the window is, and this is how she looks. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be perfect. Maybe not perfect, but ultimate. I was aiming for a 16-foot run, but it looks like I'm only going to fit 14 feet. Otherwise, I have to cut more trees down. Now, you're going to have to continue watching the videos, and I'll try to update you guys as we go about how the progress is on this build here. But at least you guys have a really good sense as to what I'm going to be building, even before I build it. Speaking about the rabbits, how about you keep on watching? If you haven't seen the very first day that we brought the rabbits to the farm, I'll put it down below and you can click and keep on going.